Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly for pricing, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing in black DLC titanium and rose gold, the H. Moser Cie Pioneer Perpetual Calendar. A Perpetual Calendar sports watch, 42.8 millimeters in diameter. It's 15.1 millimeters thick, 51 millimeters from lug to lug, and it has a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Throw it on my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see for the size of the watch, the distance lug to lug is not huge. There's also a little bit of a curvature of the lugs. You can see how they wrap around the wrist, making this watch suitable for a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. Again, mine is 16. The watch has a dramatically domed bezel and crystal, so it'll fit more easily underneath the cuff than you might think. In spite of its thickness, it slides under a shirt sleeve quite easily. It is substantial, however, and designed to be seen. The strap is alligator leather, large rectangular scale. It's got a little bit of a suede nubuck texture to it. You can see there's some bolstering to add volume, a monotone black stitch, a folded edge, and then on the underside, a rubber inlay. This is a brand new Moser factory strap. The rubber inlay helps to isolate the leather from the heat, sweat, moisture, and grit of the wrist. We have a lovely little pin buckle that's thoughtfully designed as the coining of its profiles echoes the coining of the lug recesses, alternately satinated, polished, and knurled. It's a fascinating piece on a component many brands treat as a default design. No default design here, even the buckle and the pin thoughtfully rendered. Now, the case. There's this lovely tonal contrast between the blackened DLC titanium and then the rose gold. And you can see that continues in the case recesses. Moser cases are machined and then hand finished. And that's how Moser can create these lug flank recesses on all of its models. But no two models, Venturer, Endeavor, Pioneer, or Streamliner, feature the same kind of case profile. Here we have a very narrow coining and a slight recess with a tonal contrast between black and rose gold. You can also see contrast between polished and satinated gold. Screw down crown, by the way, 120 meters water resistant, domed polished bezel, domed sapphire crystal, and then a very subtle fume fade dial. It's sort of nickel anthracite at its center with some silver undertones, and then it's black at its edge, so it fades from the center. Rose gold, diamond polished applique indices, fully loomed dial. There's a very shallow coined Rayhaut outboard. If you look, you can see that coining texture and then the loom plots for the individual hours. So the dial has good depth. There is a sunken constant seconds with an alpha style hand fluted down its center. The same is used for the power reserve indicator. The watch is advertised as a 7-day power reserve, but in fact, under-promising and over-delivering, the German-Swiss have managed to boost this power reserve to almost 9 days before the watch will actually stop. AHCI member and independent watchmaking star Andreas Streller designed this perpetual calendar system for Moser. You can see there is hacking seconds, but perhaps more fascinating is the fact that we have a system that allows you to adjust the perpetual calendar bidirectionally. So there's an index at center, and that indicates 12 months corresponding to 12 hours. So for example, you have December, January, February, March, April, and then the little index is pointing to May 1st. And I can turn it forward or backwards, and that's unique among perpetual calendars. Very few can do this. So not the only one, Ulysse Nardin can do this too, but exceptionally uncommon. I'll also mention that you can see that there's actually a split. See how 2 discs are used on the date? In order to get this giant date on the dial, they have 2 superimposed discs. Otherwise, the dial itself would have to be that big in order to have a date that large if it were a conventional single-wheel date disc. Of course, you have the power reserve indicator over at 9 o'clock. Screw this back in, flip it all over, and then you could see the movement caliber 800. Lots to love right here. Like I said, it will in fact run for almost 9 days to exhaustion, but it also has a lovely slow pocket watch cadence, beating away at 18,000 vibrations per hour. It is a 6-position adjusted watch. It does have an overcoil hairspring made by hand, made in-house at Moser, that allows it to beat concentrically in any position, so the watch will keep even time in any position. It's braced against shock by a full balance bridge and a free-sprung index, and then Moser makes its own 14-karat gold escapement through its subsidiary Precision Engineering, allowing the power reserve to be increased and parasitic friction to be reduced. I should also mention that Moser makes the hard parts of the movement. It's easy to make bridges and plates and wheels. Moser makes the escapement, the balance, and the hairspring. Now you can see there are a number of elements referencing Moser's history in pocket watches, including the slow beat rate, the golden chaton fixed by screws holding the two barrels in place, and two bridges that, though split down the center, are designed to read as a three-quarter style bridge. There is a pusher adjuster, and the leap year phase indicator for the calendar is on the back side. You can see there's a double-crested Côte de Genève pattern across the bridges. There is beveling on the edge of the bridge, black polished screw heads, and then engine turning on the base plate, satination and beveling on the balance bridge, and then finally we have those black polished screws holding the golden chaton in place. The whole balance and escapement assembly lifts out as a unit, so when this watch goes to your local Moser service subsidiary, they can replace the most time-consuming part of the service with a pre-serviced module that goes right in, already lubed and adjusted to speed this watch back to your wrist. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. We're back with the Moser Pioneer at night.